time. Yes, the recording is in progress. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our next Momentus Next Experience. So excited to have you. I can't tell you how full my Star Wars fan heart is right now. Ever since the moment I got that R2-D2 toy bin that I would sit in and pretend to be R2-D2 as a child. We are joined by two very special people, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining us today who purchased the ticket in this little experiment. At the top here, I'd like to say a couple of words about safety. So please be patient with us because we are in a live and active and very industrial setting, and we want people to be careful. And so bear with us as we get camera angles and make sure you're about to see some very, very high quality close-up work of some very high temperatures and some very dangerous materials. And Tony is a master. Emily is also, under his tutelage, become quite proficient. Working on mastery, I would say, maybe. And this is just a special moment and something that we're so excited to offer to you, the fans. We know a lot of people can't attend conventions or maybe they're immunocompromised. And this is going to be a special moment in Star Wars history. You're going to be able to see a peek into something that no one else gets to see unless you're involved in the project. So we're getting our front row loaded in right now. Hello, front row. Hello, Heather, Heather, and Heather. It's all Heathers today. Oh, is it a Heather's team? That's what it is. Apparently. Kristen, hello. The chat is open right now, and so you can use the chat. Feel free to use the chat. We will have our meet and greets at the very end, but I'm not going to say too much more, but I just wanted to say thank you and bear with us as we are creating something that you will never forget. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off here in just a moment. Let's see. I'm going to pin, and I'm going to pin. There we go. Let's just see.
Charlie, we lost your audio.
Hi. That looks like us.
Hello,
I think that's us. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily.
I'm Tony Swatton.
This is the amazing Tony Swatton, who is truly a master. I'm a mere apprentice to his mastery. And we're so excited to have all of you here. Thank you for joining us. We can see a very limited number of you right now. I think there's a Kristen and 3 Heathers that I can see.
Yeah, let's see. I think the sound is a bit quiet, so let's fix that real quick.
Okay.
No. Now, are we good on sound?
How's that sound? Can you hear us?
They're still very quiet.
Oh,
It'll get loud enough soon.
yeah.
Here, hold on.
We're just trying to save you from the eventual.
How about now?
There you go.
Yeah, you can see.
Yay.
Go ahead.
So we're trying to condense for you what would be, you said,
About a week to 10 days, we're gonna do in 15, 20 minutes. So it's like a cooking show.
yeah,
I've been working all week and all morning on pre-bakes.
yeah, Tony has had to construct various versions of the final product so that you get to see it in process, and it has had a whole team of people here helping him to do this. And I get giddy every time I come into his shop, and I'm excited that you get a little peek into it too. What else do you want to say, Tony?
I don't know, we're going to, I've been here for about 8 hours already, so we're going to create what looks like Beskar out of pattern welded steel. The common name is Damascus, but we're going to call it Beskar. It's 150 layers, and we're going to match the Beskar credit that shows a twist pattern. So we'll make 150 layers of high carbon steel and nickel, forth weld it together, twist it, forge the spine into it, heat treat it, grind it, and finally edge it to show the hero piece.
Now, to be clear, we do not endorse the making of Beskar spears because Beskar is not supposed to be used for weaponry, as we all know. However, it's sort of the most exciting thing to make in a short period of time. Watching us make some armor, we agreed would not be the most fun thing to show. So for the purposes of this, we're gonna make a Beskar spear, but then we're not gonna use it as a weapon. Maybe we'll use it like as a kebab stick or something.
Right,
Yeah,
totally work. Or forge it down and make a chainmail for,
there you
like,
go.
for little dudes.
Yeah, because Tony also specializes in making chainmail for little guys, little green guys,
The green goblins,
little green goblins.
yeah.
So,
Amazing.
oh, wow, look at, there's all of our, is this all of our front row that we're
That's our
looking
front
at now?
row.
Hi, I see some people that we know. Oh, I see an armorer. Wow, Luella. Hi, Luella. And I see a bunch of helmets. Vera's got a helmet. Kristen's got a helmet. Who else? I see Amy's got a Mandalorian t-shirt. Leah's got a helmet. What, does anyone else have a helmet up in the joint?
Yeah.
Trying to look, this is
Grogu.
the,
This is the one thing I overlooked this morning, was add horns on your safety glasses.
oh yeah, because Tony hasn't already done enough. He was gonna put horns on my safety glasses, but I think we're okay.
I do have a bear skin you can wear.
Oh my God,
Oh my God, fashion.
yeah. I mean, the armor is very fashionable.
Right.
We have already established that. Have you ever worn fur while you've been blacksmithing?
I have a flash mob of Vikings, so occasionally I do wear fur and full Viking garb. We did a training for How to Train Your Dragon 3 or 1, where we had the whole animation crew come out from DreamWorks. And I said, "You want us to be dressed as Vikings?" And they're like, "What? Yes."
You guys, but have you ever worn it while you've been playing with fire?
We did.
Oh,
We were forging Damascus axes and spears, you know.
the armor was like just playing all like loose and crazy with her fire, with her fur, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you're establishing a precedent, a fashion trend, but
Yeah.
we just did it privately for the animators at
Oh, I see.
DreamWorks, so.
Excellent.
Does anyone have any questions from the front row before we get started? Maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions.
I see a hand
See a hand,
from Irma.
Irma?
I have a question. How did it feel like to be working with Baby Yoda on the set of Mandalorian during the episode when when he would remembering when he would part of Order 66. How did that feel to interact with a puppet on set?
During the episode, which episode did you say, Irma?
The one when we found out about who took the road from Order 66.
I have a special guest that's joining us apparently. I'm pulling him out of a plastic bag. What have you been doing with Grogu?
That's where we keep the frogs.
Oh, okay. Interacting with Grogu is ridiculous because I know that it's not a living, breathing creature, and yet I forget and I am reduced to sheer and utter idiocy. And he steals every scene he's in, and we all talk to him as if he were a real creature. And I was also, when I did have to forge the rondelle for him and put that enormous thing on him.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that a creature this size could walk around with something like that without falling over?
I think that was about 5.5, 6 inches across, which is more than half his body height, you know, so.
Well, and it protected him very well.
Yeah.
It was a very useful piece of armor. Is this guy wearing, he's not wearing his chainmail though.
No, the chainmail's off the side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so he's gonna be joining us today. I wonder if he lost his hair from
Fuzzies.
spending too much time at the forge. He got burned off.
I don't know, is he hairier on camera?
No,
So,
I don't know. History.
All right, we have time for 1 more question, then we got to get started baking.
Oh, that was William. William is not actually Irma. Were you moonlighting under someone else's
That's it looks
Zoom
like.
name?
Yeah, raise your hand if you have another question from the front row. before we get started.
See, man.
Oh, Kristen. All right.
Hi, it's Kristen and my cat Toby. The finale was awesome. I just wanted to know, like, how did it feel being able to have like so much like cool action and stuff and like bludgeoning people with the hammer?
So in the finale of the show,
Which I haven't watched.
Yeah. watch the show because he's doing real things in his shop. But I was actually flying through the air with my jetpack and beating people up with my hammer.
I saw you in some beam swinging the heavy hammer and the tongs together.
Yeah, it felt really good. So the armorer on the show only ever fights with their hammer and tongs.
Right.
Everybody else has blasters, they have dark sabers, they've got all sorts of other machinery, but I only use my hammer and tongs.
And you're using the big hammer.
Yeah.
And the steel hammer.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. And it was also very vindicating in the finale for all of the doubters out there to show that I am not a spy.
I had your back, girl.
I mean, come on, people, you have little faith. And I actually have 3 hammers that I use on the show, 2 of which Tony made.
3 of which.
You made the foam one too?
No, I made the titanium,
Mhm.
the aluminum, and the steel one, and then the foam one. So you have 4 hammers.
Oh, I have 4 hammers. I didn't even know this. Okay, so there's one that's titanium that's not close to 20 pounds.
And initially it was going to be this size,
Yeah, it was nice and compact.
and then they chose much bigger.
Right, which looks much cooler, but the titanium one is the prettiest one that they love to photograph the most, and the one that I hate the most because it's heavy. And then the aluminum one is, how much did you say? About,
Probably 50% of the, well, it's a little less than the titanium. And then the steel one for forging the Beskar spearheads for Book of Boba Fett,
right,
that was about 16 pounds. So it's going to range from 16 pounds on steel down to about 6 to 8 pounds. And this would have been less than 2 pounds.
but then for all those action sequences, I have a nice foam one so that nobody is actually injured. Could you imagine flying through the air with that 20 pounds?
That's crazy, yeah.
Nope. All right, well, Roku, shall we start? this?
All right, back to your
We could-
frog people. Here, come on.
I'm gonna put him here. You can watch.
Yeah, because the base is in the other row. There you go. May stay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Horse.
Hey, all right. So what do we start with today?
Well, I can show you the raw materials. It's right here. So this is an existing Beskar credit.
I'm gonna hold it up real close.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we want to tell them about this though.
Well, so initially, back in 2018, when the show was in pre-production, I sent this piece of material. It's a meteorite from the Gibeon meteorite strike in Namibia. And it has this pattern called a Whitman-Stat pattern, which I etched into this ingot to match up to the meteorite. Production decided to go with a different look, so we made it out of Damascus steel or pattern welded steel. And then it to show the laminates and to give it a different pattern, it was twisted, which is what we did here. And then in my hand is the block of steel, which is high carbon steel and nickel. There's 25 different layers that we forged together. And then we fold it into 3 layers, make it 75 layers. And then Emily and I on camera will take that 75 layers, fold it in half and forge weld it like you'd see in Japanese sword making to double laminate to 150 layers. And this piece here has been forged to about 75 layers, but we're going to use bigger material because the spearhead are larger.
Sweet. All right, shall we do it?
Off to the forge.
So we're gonna just test sound real quick to make sure that we can hear you as well while you're over there. So let's just make sure of that. I'm gonna move over to the cameras now.
Yeah, yeah, the fold it, yeah.
All right, let's see. Do test.
Yeah. This was actually on set. They didn't like the finish, so we gave them a brighter one.
Everything sounds great, Charlie.
All right.
Okay, off to the forges. So I'm applying flux on this. I have my assistant Levi holding this out here. It's cut partially. This is cut in half.
This one isn't.
No,
You want me to
okay.
cut
Yeah, wasn't this one that was cut or you forge welded that?
it?
Yeah, let me cut this. We didn't have it prepped. We've been kind of running around today here. So. Where's that hammer?
We've got
Emily, you
no
wanna help me?
audio here. Yeah, there we are.
All right. So take this and we're going to hammer this here. Okay, I'm going to give it a go. Get that. So we're going to skip a step because this needs to get hot again to forge weld. Like I stated, it's probably a couple day process to make everything, and we're doing it much faster.
Not be way.
So we're going to skip to the next step, which is twisting it up here. And we'll forge weld this going back to step one after it's up to heat. All right. Can you grab the twisting wrench over there, please? This is about 1500 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, this is Emily's favorite bit. Here you go.
This is not part of my daily workout routine.
Okay, we're delaminating at the bottom. Let me grab
Okay.
that. Again, live blacksmithing. Okay. Well, I think while these two are heating up, we can go back to my other pre-bake. So this is 3 steps ahead. Let's grab the spring swedge. There you go. Set it underneath here, like that. Okay, I'm gonna lift up. I don't know if you can see that, but that spine was forged into it with this lightweight hammer weight
Here,
spring swedge. You can hold that.
okay.
So we match the different grooves. So we're using the fine groove at about 5/8 of an inch to establish the spine on the middle of the spear. So that bit is done. We're probably gonna need a few more minutes for it to preheat here. Let's see where we're at. Let's try and forge weld it.
All right. Good boss.
All right, I'm gonna get my gloves on for this. Yeah. Okay, so we're initially going to forge weld it using a hammer. So go ahead, just smack it there. I'll give it a little go here.
That's the real muscle.
Still not quite at welding temperature, but kind of putting it together. We're going to put a little bit more flux on there, which is boric acid, anhydrous borax,
Like your
salum.
seasoning salt.
Yeah, it's all like I said, it's all the pre-bakes for my cooking show.
Yeah.
It's going to squash it together under the power hammer. Because if you have the tools, use them. So this is going to take a little bit more to heat up.
So how hot is this oven over here?
I want to have this at about 1800 degrees.
Okay.
And let the metal soak to fully have its heat and temperature. It's the right temperature and the heat, and it'll cause it to stick. So what we can do though, those two are going to take a few minutes to do. Let me just quench this. Let's get a grinder set up. Where's the best position for the grinder? Right here? Okay. This is one of my pre-bakes. There's like 6 of them. Let's get a 36 grit belt from the wall over there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Still a little warm. few hundred degrees. Okay.
Where's the temperature?
It's right here. Okay. Cool it off a little bit more again. So Emily, kind of give that a go.
And I think we want to try to get the,
Yeah. And if you push against the flat, you can push it fairly hard to get the sparks on there. There's actually hours worth of work prepping it to this degree. Right.
yeah, that's nice.
We could probably jump over to heat treat and show that. That's Emily's favorite bit.
Yeah.
That's fine. So
So we're pulling this guy out of here now?
yeah, I'm gonna get it in special tongs for you.
Tony does all of the time intensive labor and then just lets me do the pretty thing. With sparks and fire.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
So this is 1,575 degrees Fahrenheit. Little warm. I'll actually just hold it. I couldn't get the clip on there. So,
It's fine.
and then into the oil right here.
All right. Let's make sure we don't miss this. I had a good angle.
Here, why don't you come around to my side? So
Oh, look at that.
there you go. Let me switch it around for you. And one more.
Ooh.
So from this point, we do a couple more hours of cleanup on the grinder. We try and quench to get more flames. To sate your pyromania a little
There we
bit,
go,
yeah.
More nice.
So from this point, we polish everything back on the grinder, which is
So
making
for
an ungodly,
hours.
yeah.
Wow, okay.
And once that's all cleaned up, we bring it out of the ferric chloride, the acid, to reveal everything. So let's see if we can get that big billet's ready. Not quite. Where'd we put the acid?
Our acid.
Where is it? Oh, right here. All right. The big reveal. We forged it all out. We've ground it. We've heat treated it. We've polished it again. And now we've put it in this acid. And here you go. I'll let you do the honors. Just pull that straight out. And if you see there, all the pretty lines in it, we can quench it in the water just directly to the side there. And then basically, because I'm impervious to acid, I'll wipe off some of the acid to show you with the pattern.
And that pattern comes from all the different layers of steel.
All the layers that
And
we,
then the twisting, which we didn't get to fully do, right?
yeah, we can try and twist it and forge weld it, but I don't think it was an ambitious deal to try and get everything
It's
ready.
hard to do fast.
Yeah,
But that's what was so incredible to me is looking at that. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
back and grab that.
Give the billet, the Beskar credit.
Well, looking at this,
Yeah,
these layers that just get compacted down and compacted down and compacted down.
so we take the 25 layers And we forged that together, and then we cut that into thirds to make 75 layers, and we fold that in half, which we have in the forge right now. And then we twist that over at the vise, but we weren't quite at heat and it started delaminating. But there you go, from that to that. Few, that's kind of heavy, but let me get you.
You're able to see that pattern?
You know. So we started this to end up with something like this, or our Beskar credit. And we match it with the pattern welded steel to end up with the spear and a little bit of shaping. And then that's done.
Just like that.
Yeah. Is that almost ready for forge welding? What do you think? All right. Okay, cool. We're gonna try and forge weld this. Yeah.
All right, pretend you haven't seen any of that.
Megan asks, how did you get into this line of work, Tony?
I was born in Hammersmith, so it's kind of faded. It's a borough of London, England. And I was just fascinated with all this stuff with armor and weapons. And where I went to high school in Burbank, Jody Sampson, who created the Conan swords, was down the street. So I used to pester him at work and started making knives, then joined the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronisms, started making armor. And by my early,
There's a Society for Creative Anachronisms.
yeah.
What is that?
Well, you know, like you have the 501st and the Mandalorian mercs,
Yeah,
where these goofballs dress up like you on the show.
uh-huh.
Well, you get people dress up in medieval wear and create weapons and armor and then go out into public parks with rattan poles and beat the snot out of each other.
I
So
have no idea this, everybody else in the room here is nodding. I didn't know that the Society for Creative Anachronisms existed. I
well,
love this.
you know, if anyone's on the Zoom meet who's a SCA member, now we've just given them a huge shout out.
Wow.
Their numbers are going to swell.
That's awesome.
So I started with that. Soon afterwards, because I'm in Burbank, where I grew up, I got approached to do sculptures for Disney World and armor for Michael Jackson. Then I created the hook for the movie Hook. And that was in the late 80s, early 90s. And since then, I've worked on like 300 plus feature films and your show, lots of TV shows. I didn't work on Supernatural, but I did Charmed,
Sure.
Alias, Buffy, all those, did all the weapons and things for
Wow.
that. So, but stuff.
You're just like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. Eh.
Okay, cool. We're gonna forge weld this underneath the power hammer.
Wow.
Where'd I throw my other glove? Oh, well. All right. Yeah, well. I mean, we have to show it. It is your favorite thing.
We know it works. Speed blacksmithing.
Can you open the vise, please? There we go, and then close it up. All righty.
I mean, who needs Pilates when you can just get your core workout doing this? Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a bigger bar.
Yeah, I did this the other day and it was easier.
Well, the other day it was mild steel. It wasn't high carbon steel.
Ah, yes.
And
I like to do my workouts with mild steel. High carbon's like the real bodybuilding.
right, this is like Olympic weights.
Oh, okay. Like powerlifting. Look how beautiful that is, though.
So there's the twist. We're gonna get a tighter twist, but that's kind of how that happens.
A little more drop forging.
Yep. All righty.
So we've seen all of the steps of the process in some order.
Yeah,
Tony, thank you for,
you're welcome.
you had to do so much work for so many hours to show us just a few minutes of it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
We have no audio here, Charlie, by the way.
We got it.
There we go.
Camera, so we get a good camera on this angle here.
Levi, let me know when to turn on forge or turn on forge.
Thank you.
We're just gonna get reset here, guys, for just a second. Front row, if you can just, any questions you all have too, we just want to make sure we give you guys some time as well. Let me know when you're up with that camera too. We'll get that going. All right, if you have any questions, if you want to put them in the chat or in the Q&A, we will, I'll just shout those out and then we can do a lightning round here too. Real quick before we get into questions, do you want to talk a little bit about Voices Against Cancer?
Yes, I would love to. So Voices Against Cancer, I just saw Rob write something in the chat. Why am I saying write something in the chat?
Write it in the chat.
He wrote it by hand in the chat. So Voices Against Cancer is an incredible organization that I have had the absolute joy of being involved with for almost a year now. They are focused on raising money for pediatric cancer research. But they also, one of the reasons that I was so joyful to get involved with them is because it is a community of families who really go out of their way to support each other, families whose children are going through cancer treatment right now, families who have lost children to cancer, sadly, but who absolutely have each other's backs in this fight, and who are looking first and foremost to find ways to fund research that mitigates the long-term impacts of cancer treatments, because there's so many, there's, as anybody, unfortunately, most of us know someone who has gone through cancer, and as we have all gotten to see, a lot of the time the treatment for the cancer can be incredibly harsh, and when you're dealing with young bodies that are still developing, those impacts can be long-term. And so that's one of the focuses of a lot of the research that Voices Against Cancer wants to fund. And they're also so focused on the families that are having to deal with this and making sure that they have the emotional support and the financial support that they need, because it doesn't just impact the kids, it impacts their parents and their siblings and, you know, the whole community around them. So I am so happy anytime I get to talk about them and anytime I get to raise a little money for them. So there's proceeds from this today that are going to be going to them. And I encourage you to find out more about them. Go to Voices Against Cancer on Instagram, go to their website, Facebook, all those social things. And thank you to all of you who are joining us from Voices Against Cancer today, whoever is out there, including Rob.
All right, I'm gonna do a little lightning round here. Let me just get in the background. Can you speak a couple of words?
Hello, can you hear me?
So we have a few questions from the audience here that we'll take for a moment.
Elliot, can you plug in the fan over here and get some cross breeze?
Daniel asks, is there any strength or durability benefit to Damascus steel, or is it purely aesthetic?
It's mostly aesthetic. I'm using a high carbon steel and nickel just to add pattern to it. If I did it out of a mono steel, just the high carbon steel, it would have been, there's less chance of having cold laminations, cold shuts in it. So it's potentially better, but it is prettier. And, you know, it looks closer to the Beskar.
Another question. Do you have a favorite movie? Or something you crafted? Favorite thing that you crafted or movie that you worked on? You have to choose one aside from that movie.
Kung Pao Entered the Fist. I went to see it. Everyone left the theater except for me and my date. And I realized that I'd made the armor for Betty in the film. So I had to watch the rest of it. It was the worst thing ever. So, I mean, I don't know.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is like the worst show ever.
I'm gonna Google this now. Yeah.
I mean, I've worked, you know, the premiere that I supplied a bunch of torture equipment this past Wednesday for the premiere was for Quasi, from the same people who did Super Troopers. I haven't seen it, but I can only imagine it's going to be up there the caliber with Kung Pao.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist came out in 2002. A rough around the edges martial arts master seeks revenge for his parents' death.
Elliot, can you do?
I've only seen it once, and that was enough.
It's got a meta score of 14.
You know, we have a special guest here too, and I wanted to just take a minute. Sheldon.
Oh, Sheldon.
Sheldon's here. Hi, Sheldon.
Hello, Sheldon.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Sheldon, do you want to tell? I mean, they may know you from something else. You made an incredible.
Oh, I can't.
So I'm going to have to turn my volume up here. Can you repeat that question?
You can introduce the.
Oh, so Sheldon is
Yes.
an incredible artist who we had the pleasure of collaborating with, and he created a beautiful. Well, I had seen artwork that he had done of the armor and other Mandalorian characters before, so we commissioned him to create a custom piece of the armor specifically for this event. And there's a beautiful lithograph that some of you, did everyone who did the event
Yeah.
get one? Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So everybody.
Okay, so everyone has one. But it's a limited run. Only you people get to have one. And we're just so, and proceeds from that also are going to Voices Against Cancer. And we're all so incredibly fortunate to have a special edition of Sheldon's work. Now we
Absolutely.
need you to do one of Tony, though.
Yeah,
Definitely.
In his
Maybe.
Viking.
maybe in some Beskar armor.
Yeah.
Charlie, I know that Irma Cyclic or William, I'm not sure who the name is, had a question and he has to go very soon and he's very eager to ask. So maybe we could see him.
I have a question. Did the way. So for the finale, I was a little bit optimistic. I thought the ending of the final episode, and I feel like it don't feel like it looks like it's gonna be a season 4. It looks like everything all wrapped up. Both the 10 is little a Mandalore, go to and then are hiding and now are doing side missions. So if you can tell us what can we expect next, because also seems like to me Mark Diddy is not dead, because we never saw him born in a fire because
I
of
know, right?
yeah. So what can we expect?
Your guess is as good
and
as mine about
yeah.
what we can expect next.
But we do know you're not a spy.
Yeah, you can expect me not to be a spy. William, I cannot tell you what is next, because I don't know. And even if I did know, I would get shot in the head probably if I revealed it, or thrown into the forge here. But I know that John and Dave are brilliant and are always, a step ahead of everyone else. So even though we got some nice, tidy resolution for some storylines, I'm sure that they have ideas in the cooker. Is Beskar, well, Beskar is cold when it's cool.
Yeah, when you pull it out of the forge, it's a little warm.
But somebody tried to catch me at a convention once and asked me what is the melting point of Beskar, because Beskar is supposed to be impenetrable. And my mom was actually the one who figured out how we would determine that, because she knows that a lightsaber cannot penetrate Beskar. So she said, well, it would have to be at least, the melting point would have to be above the heat of a lightsaber. So then we looked up the heat of a lightsaber and we figured that the melting point of Beskar must be higher than that.
Probably over 45,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So I use a tool called a plasma cutter, which creates the fourth state of matter, which is basically what your lightsaber is doing.
Okay.
And it's turning a solid into vaporizing it. True Beskar, in the galaxy far, far away, not the stuff we're making here, would have to be that temperature. So over 40,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
So that would take a long time to cool down after you take it out of your.
Depending on the size, I mean,
Yeah.
When I plasma cut something, I can hold it in my hands and plasma cut right next to it, and the heat really doesn't travel.
That's so cool.
We've got another question here, James.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. First of all, Emily, thank you so much for being an evangelist for Voices Against Cancer. It's an incredibly poignant thing that you do, and I think we all appreciate that. My question for Tony is, you said you were impervious to acid. Are you also impervious to heat? Because I noticed you weren't wearing gloves at the beginning. And follow-up question, can you feel your fingertips anymore?
What was the last bit? Can I feel what?
Can you feel your fingertips anymore?
Most of them. I degloved one of my fingers where I pulled the fingertip off of this finger. You can see this middle finger is a little bit shorter than this one. But the acid I'm using is not really that bad. I mean, it will kind of, the calluses on my hands are pretty extreme. So
Yeah.
when I was cooling off, the one spearhead to have Emily grind it, I knew it was at about 250, 300 degrees Fahrenheit. 350 degrees will give you a 3rd-degree burn in 1/10 of a second. So that's why I held it in water a little bit longer, because
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have very delicate hands.
Me too. I mean, the funny thing is, you were asking about the gloves. I couldn't find my other gloves, so I just forged it without. But I go to doctors for checkups, and they see all these burns up on my arms, but they're all healed, and they assume that they're track marks. And I'm like, no, I'm a blacksmith. I'm not an IV drug user.
I'm addicted to fire, not drugs. You got more questions?
Heather.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The
Oh,
Heather.
hi, Heather. Which
Hey.
Heather is this though?
Over here. Hi, Emily. It's so lovely to see you. Love the show. Love Supernatural. Love you as the armor.
Thank you.
My question for you is, so did you, obviously you're able to make things. Did any of it end up on the show, or was this for training and to make you look like a more, believable armor and not just randomly swinging a hammer?
I have not made any of so I got to do stages of the process on the show. Tony is the one who made everything from start to finish. But he taught me all of the stages of the process so that I would be able to show, to do them as we were shooting them. And then what I also learned as we were shooting them is that there's a lot of things that they want to look a certain way while we're shooting them that don't adhere to the laws of physics. So that was interesting. So I have been able to definitely cobble together, to use another trade, cobble together the steps so that I suppose I could make something from start to finish at this point, but I don't know that I've ever actually tried, because I've sort of just gotten like, here's what we do. We sort of worked through everything according to what we were going to need to do in the script and what we were going to need to show on camera. So I've learned the process non-sequentially, and then done a lot of reading about the process in sequence. But
Yeah, Emily was brought in to have a 3 to 4 hour tutorial to use the tools that I made for this past season. So she was familiar with it and showed how it actually worked.
And then I practiced a lot on set because Josh let me.
And you got the bug.
Yeah.
You just like, you walked in here and you're like, oh.
I mean, this place is amazing.
And when she came in earlier this week to run through the processes we were showing you today, I've had grown men who operate heavy machinery flinch. And Emily was just an absolute natural, no problem whatsoever. 1800 degree metal, twisting it by hand, forge welding stuff, sparks, the heat treatment, the fire coming out of the oil.
I do wear gloves though.
Yeah, but that's one of your favorite bits. You
Yes.
know? Yeah.
Hey, Leah.
Hey, Emily. Thank you so much to you and Tony for doing this. So I do the armor cosplay as part of the Rebel Legion. And one of my favorite questions I got from a little girl was, what are the tools on your belt? And I kind of stumbled and came up with something, but I was wondering, Tony or Emily, if you could tell me what you think the tools are used for on the belt and what names you would call them.
Which tools?
So you have the three things on the belt. There's like a little like rectangle part, and then there's like two other little things, like little greeblies on the belt.
I don't know.
I was like, well, one is used for testing the purity of the metal.
We've heard from an outside source here that they're greebles.
Greeblies, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
a greeble?
But a greeble is, so in model building, it's anything that is put on, it kind of was created in the first Star Wars. There are all the little details that are put on other model kits to make things look technical.
Oh.
So like.
Yeah, this shows you how much I actually use what's on my belt. I did in the book of Boba Fett, and then again in actually I don't know if I pulled from the belt in this season of Mando, but I have my little like vial that had water in it to test or some sort of potion to test the water from the living waters. And so I know that was one of the things. I actually met a woman at a convention recently though, who had put in one of the containers, she'd put chewing gum, and in one she had put hand sanitizer, and one she had outfitted so when she opened it up, it was her lip balm. So I endorse that. I think that's a very practical use of those particular items.
Hi. Hi, Emily.
Hi,
Hi,
Vera.
Tony.
Look, you have a friend.
Yes. I was actually hoping to make some chainmail for my Grogu. I've made chainmail before. I was curious on what the gauge and size of the rings were.
I actually used a pre-existed welded chainmail shirt that we cut apart and tailored. We had to make 3 suits, chainmail shirts like this that you basically see when Luke Skywalker, chooses, war or peace. So we only had a few days to make it, so there would be no way to put the stuff together. Guesstimating, looking at it, probably 25 thousandths with a 5/32 inside diameter.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. For sure.
Yeah, but each link is welded, so it's it's like Whiting and Davis butcher's gloves. So you can't really you can't make it like this without proper welding equipment to weld each individual link. You've made
How long would
chainmail.
that take?
We cut apart a pre-existing shirt. So
How long would it take if you were welding it from scratch?
a long time, and you couldn't do it. I mean, I used to make chainmail when I would fly back to visit relatives in England. So after 9/11, they don't allow you to bring a bunch of tools and metal on an airplane, but I'd be on an airplane knitting a Volkswagen or a manhole cover or whatever, and get to London and show it off to people.
Ways to pass the time.
Right.
Hey, Amy.
Hello, sorry, I can't hear Charlie, so I'm glad you said hi, Amy. I'm actually writing some books, and so I've been taking notes as we've been going along because I want to make blacksmithing accurate. I just want to know what flux does and what delaminating means and what those terms are.
So the flux is just basically a chemical that goes over the top. It's predominantly borax. It's anhydrous borax, meaning the water's been boiled off of it. Then I add some cockroach killer, which is boric acid. And then I add sal ammoniac, which is ammonium chloride. Some of the alloys I weld have high chromium or nickel, and that facilitates the forging together. When I get it up to the correct heat, you saw when I started forging it initially, it didn't stick. That was, it didn't forge well. It wasn't at the right temperature. It hadn't soaked long enough. And so it delaminated it, the layers came apart. So, so the flux cleans the metal. It's a matter of forge welding is heat and pressure. So I'm using the heat from the propane forge and the pressure from the 250-pound forging hammer. So, or hand hammers. And then just a couple more. So we got Mary and Kurt.
Hey, Mary.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Just a quick question for Tony. I was just wondering, in terms of the design process for everything, do you have an input on that? Or do the production department come to you and go, this is what you're making, just do it?
So back in 2018, when I was starting this, we sent this. This is a piece of Gibeon meteorite right here. If Emily, if you can hold that up there. So, and then these two pieces were the samples of the Beskar billets that were held in the special tongs that we made to fit them. The specific tongs and hammer that Emily uses in her battle were designed from production. The other tongs were based on traditional blacksmithing tongs, so we could use them for armor making or blacksmithing demonstrations. And these were two samples. This shows the Whitman stat pattern of a meteorite, which is in Emily's hand. And this is the random pattern laminated Damascus steel that they ended up using for the Beskar billet right here. So
It's a collab. You bring them ideas and then they choose.
yeah, the prop master, Josh, will come in here and he'll say, we need to do this. And then I'll fire up some equipment and he'll take some video on his phone and he'll go back and show John and Dave. And then they'll come back and say, okay, we want to do this, but we want to do this in a manner that isn't feasible. It doesn't actually work in this galaxy, So I have to say, well, I can do this and try and make it as cool as possible.
Yeah, this message is for Emily. I saw you at the Fan Expo in Cleveland. So it's so cool seeing you again.
Good to see you again.
I wanted to ask, since Grogu is now Din Djarin's apprentice, and he's part of your tribe, does that make you Grogu's godmother? That's my question.
Well, nobody's asked me to be his godmother.
Would you
I
like to be
mean-
his godmother?
A lot of responsibility.
Lots
I'll
of talk.
babysit every once in a while, and maybe if he wants to, I mean, I feel like the armor really needs her own apprentice because especially now that they're back on Mandalore and she's got 3 forges, she's gonna need some help. So if Grogu's willing to learn some blacksmithing, sure.
They make some scale tools for next season.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I should have brought it. I have a Grogu that has his own little armor,
Yeah.
and he's got a tiny hammer.
There's a box somewhere off to the side here when we cleaned up that had a bunch of helmets from this past season. So,
Oh man,
just different pieces I was making.
there's so many treasures in this shop.
Well, like this piece is great because the big hammer you swing,
Yeah.
this was what it was going to be originally that you would have been much happier with.
But it wouldn't have looked as cool.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, it was so much fun meeting you at Orlando.
Oh my gosh, that one was crazy.
That's so much fun. So my question for you is, what was the most challenging part about learning blacksmithing?
The most challenging part. Well, honestly, getting comfortable with swinging a hammer, and really getting that to be efficient and proficient and not. I mean, there is an ease that you want to have with it that doesn't necessarily come right away because I found myself wanting to like feel really strong, but then you're using the wrong muscles and you can tell very quickly if you're wearing yourself out too fast. And so it's such a simple thing, but it can be a challenge, and you can definitely feel when you're getting it right. And that was something that I did. I think I might have enjoyed working on that the most with Tony because it was the most useful, and just watching him and seeing the ease with which he does that, and then trying to do it on my own gave me such an appreciation. And you have, when you're hammering different types of metals and on different surfaces at different heights, like you have to adjust accordingly, and it's a real art.
Yeah, on Book of Boba Fett, I was forging out these spearheads to turn into the chainmail. Because I'm totally your body double.
Oh yeah, Tony body doubled me in Book of Boba Fett. We're always going in for the same parts.
Right. But
what did you say? Sorry. Okay.
Okay. So in forging that, I'm using a very heavy, awkward hammer that production designed on what we call an ASO, an anvil-shaped object. It's a bunch of girders welded together at a height of about, I don't know, midriff, where you want to have it at about waist height. So you're swinging a hammer that's too heavy, that's off balance at a height that's about a third taller than it needs to be. So
yeah,
you're doing really well for what you have to work with.
Thank you. Scott and Jane, bring it home.
Hello.
Nice.
Well, hey guys.
Hello from the Philippines.
Hi. Oh, Charlie was telling us about you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, 2 a.m. here, but we're doing good. So I'm going to try to squeeze in as much rapid fire as I can to take full advantage. But awesome stuff from Tony for sure. I don't have anywhere near that kind of talent. We don't forge stuff here, but we did forge our own Mandalorian vehicle.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, we got
very
on one
cool.
side the armor.
Yes.
And then I want to share my major fangirling moment. This was at last celebration. I'm not sure if you remember my husband. We were on a video call because I wasn't able to go to last year's celebration.
I do remember. I absolutely do.
Yeah, so we were super excited for this. So two rapid questions. One, any chance of you coming to the Philippines?
I would love to.
Any Philippine conventions on your route?
Tell me about conventions that happen there and I'll tell them to invite me and I'll come to the Philippines.
Manila Con.
There's a Manila Con?
No, I just made
Oh.
that
There should.
Yeah, we absolutely have a couple of conventions, and of course, we have our own 501st and Mando Mercs and everybody out here as well. So
Tell those promoters that you want to have me there and let's see if they'll reach out.
but at the very, very least, we hope to see you in Japan.
Oh, I hope so.
That's very near us, so we're really hopeful to be there.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never been
so-
to Japan, so I hope I get to go to that one.
But yeah, no, really, really appreciate it. And
Our dog Ahsoka wants to join in apparently.
yeah. But-
Thank you for staying up so late. Did you have any other questions?
You good?
Yeah, I know. I think we're. But thanks so much.
What is your car made out of? Is it fabricated fiberglass or is it metal?
Sadly enough, it is actually just a car wrap, but we do have a little thing on the back end of the car that says it's Beskar armored.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah,
But
behind the screen here is all my fabricating equipment, some of which was in Jay Leno's garage. And so I do that type of car building, but for more armor.
Like you do.
So we put it, hi, say hi to Adrian. Okay, so.
Okay, hi, hello. So we are going to be moving on. Thank you so much to everybody who came and joined us for this magical event. And just to witness it in person, I can't tell you how incredible it is.
Thank you, everybody.